Okay, I think we're good to go.
Live streaming to YouTube.
Excellent, thanks. Welcome everyone to our council meeting on Wednesday, March 16th. We began our meeting a little bit earlier to go into closed session, and now we're resuming in open session. I am pleased to report that we have already approved the agenda. So we'll proceed to disclosures of interest in regards to the meeting this evening. Are there any disclosures, i.e. concerns about perceived or real financial benefit or loss arising from items specific to the agenda? Councillor Wilson, I believe you're on mute.
Yeah. I declare pecuniary interest with respect to item K31 of the agenda due to a familial connection to the expropriated owner.
Thank you. We appreciate that disclosure. Any other disclosures? Not seeing any. All right, we'll move on. As is the case now at the Municipality of North Grenville, we begin most of our meetings with a land acknowledgement. Subsequent to last council's meeting, we decided it would be appropriate if we rotated the reading of the land acknowledgement. This is an acknowledgement that is part of the Municipality of North Grenville's Truth and Reconciliation process. And we're extremely pleased to be in a process of reconciliation, which will take many years, if not decades to come, but we're grateful to have this opportunity to read the land acknowledgement. And tonight I'll invite Councillor O'Sullivan to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe. We honor the historic relationship of the Haudenosaunee and the Huron-Wendat peoples to this land. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship with all Indigenous peoples, and we look forward to continuing this conversation and fostering the path towards reconciliation.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. We appreciate that, and we look forward to other council members also having an opportunity to read our land acknowledgement in the coming weeks. So we're also pleased tonight. It is spring break, so we know it's a little bit quieter in our own municipality, but we're very pleased to welcome a number of delegations. So we have two, if not three this evening too. So the first one, of course, is from Ms. Catherine Forster. She's with Earth Day Canada, and she reached out to my office a couple of weeks ago with a more formal request for the municipality to officially recognize Earth Day. We know we have a lot of environmentalists and enthusiasts, certainly when it comes to climate mitigation in our municipality, among other efforts. So it's my pleasure this evening to welcome Ms. Forster for a brief presentation. Ms. Forster.
That's great. Thank you so much. So I'll go to the next slide. My name is Catherine Forster, and I'm with Earth Day Canada, the Canadian Outreach Officer. And we are the charitable organization that runs the Earth Day campaign for Canada every year. And we also do programming year-round. So we work with municipalities, businesses, not-for-profits, and we're really looking to inspire action and environmental efforts across Canada. So I'll go to the next slide. Our activities are driven really by that one purpose: helping people, municipalities, organizations reduce their environmental impact. Next slide. And so we do that in a few ways. So we have some expertise in tree planting, food waste, waste management, sustainable mobility, training and awareness. And we do that through our annual campaign by reaching out to municipalities and asking them to share the theme, the Earth Day message on April 22nd. And also Earth Day is a great opportunity for every organization, municipality to really promote what they're doing for the environment, talk about what they've done the year before, or talk about what they're planning on doing. So what we really want to do is go beyond awareness in terms of supporting people, municipalities, businesses, organizations, beyond awareness, and then convert those ideas into solutions. Go to the next slide. So I'll get into the numbers in a couple of slides, but the Municipality Mobilizing campaign, which we sent to North Grenville, was an invitation for municipalities to join together and really show a united front to promote, celebrate Earth Day, and show what they're doing for the environment. So on the next slide, by joining the Municipality Mobilizing campaign, all municipalities will receive a media communications toolkit. So Earth Day International has a theme, but what we do at Earth Day Canada is we like to create a theme that's really Canadian, that's really topical about what Canadians are thinking about, facing right now, and have this theme create a Canadian conversation about the environment and what people can do. So we offer this toolkit for free to all media, municipalities, organizations, so that they can all promote this theme and we can have that Canadian conversation on April 22nd. We also have a calendar of activities. So if a municipality is hosting an event or having some kind of initiative online, they can add that to the national calendar of activities to really provide some highlighting and promotion on a national level of, you know, what's happening across Canada for Earth Day. And we also, for municipalities, have created, starting in 2020, we had to pivot due to COVID. And people think of Earth Day in terms of tree planting. I mean, it's a little bit harder to do in Canada, but we really wanted to continue that tradition. And we imagined this tree planting relay, where each month on the 22nd, municipalities would pledge to plant 50 trees during the year. And we would announce a certain number of municipalities each month that are doing this pledge. And then I'll talk also about Electric Earth Day in a couple of slides. So if we go to the next slide. So this is what happened last year. So we had 115 municipalities participate in the Mobilizing Municipalities campaign. And we had 5 sort of kick off the day on April 22nd with a tree planting relay video, including our municipal spokesperson who was from Mississauga last year. And then over the 2 years, we started in 2020, there have been 32 municipalities that have been recognized for pledging to plant trees. We have over 2,500 native and fruit trees that were showcasing that have been planted by municipalities across Canada. So on the next slide, this is the campaign. So again, we're creating this campaign to help us have that conversation around Earth Day and the environment on April 22nd. It's a really great moment because media are looking to have that conversation. They want to talk about the environment in April. So it's a great time to really have that conversation and talk about what can be done. So we'll go to the next slide. So the campaign, the toolkit actually has social media visuals that can be pre-programmed into a social media calendar. It has suggested text, and it has the hashtags that create sort of that connection and having that conversation across Canada. And this is sort of showing how much conversation that we have, over 200 million times around Earth Day, so around the weeks surrounding Earth Day. And then the next slide. So this is the other support that we have for municipalities for Earth Day. So that tree planting relay program, like I spoke of, it starts on April 22nd, and then it runs all the way to March of the next year. And every month on the 22nd, we have a few municipalities pledging to plant those trees. And these are trees that can be planted any time of the year, and they can also be trees that are already programmed into a municipal forestry initiative. It's just pledging to plant those trees, and then it really elevates that effort that municipalities are doing, again, on that national level. And we have this beautiful map that shows all the different municipalities that are participating, photos, the number of trees, the type of trees, and things like that. So it's really nice to see that growing and just demonstrating for Canadians how much municipalities are doing. As I mentioned before, Electric Earth Day, we're doing that for the first time this year. So at first we'd imagined it where we would get dealerships to actually encourage people to do test drives on Earth Day of electric vehicles. And the dealerships and businesses, so it could be e-bikes, it could be e-scooters, they would have a draw for everyone who comes in on that day to test drive so that they could win a prize. So some way to encourage people to do some test driving. But we've also expanded it now for any type of electric mobility webinar or activity or event that's happening across Canada, so that we again can really showcase what's happening across Canada in terms of accelerating that uptake of electric vehicles. And we're hoping to have a bit of a Canadian celebration online. So if municipalities don't have programming themselves for Earth Day, they could encourage their citizens to come and join Earth Day Canada online on Facebook Live and take part in that. So that'd be another way to participate in Earth Day. We have educational workshops, so on how to eat more sustainably, how to live more sustainably. And last year we offered one for free at lunchtime on April 22nd, and we're hoping to do that again. So again, some offering of a free resource that municipalities can promote on Earth Day. And I wanted to talk just a little bit about the trademark, but I think I have an individual slide for that. So if we go to the next slide. Let's see. Okay, first of all, I wanted to talk about the municipal activities for Earth Day. So if a municipality is brainstorming and trying to think of different ideas to help celebrate Earth Day, there's a lot of different ways. I can help brainstorm, but also these are ideas that I've heard other municipalities are doing. Community cleanups are really popular in the spring, offering free transit, having a nature walk or a guided tour of a municipal facility, having a community challenge, children's activities, or even, like I said, having a press release and just really showcasing what your municipality has been doing for the environment over the last year, or promoting something new that your municipality is doing. I think next slide. So yeah, the trademark, Earth Day International has the trademark for Earth Day. So the idea is that we want to protect the brand of Earth Day for non-commercial uses. So it's really a grassroots movement. It's citizens, it's municipalities, it's not-for-profits who are really creating local action and making a difference. So we just wanted to ensure that no one's trying to sell an Earth Day product. And by having other people like nonprofits, municipalities recognize the trademark, then it makes it stronger for us to be able to defend it if we ever have to ask some business to stop selling a certain product, and keep that brand strong for citizens and not-for-profits and municipalities to use. So that's sort of what we have in terms of the charter for Earth Day celebrations that I shared with the municipality also. And I think that's it. I've gone through it really fast. I'm not sure how long the presentation is, but we just want to say thank you, because municipalities are really the key to driving this ecological transition. And we really just want to celebrate and highlight all that municipalities do at the local level. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Forster, and I assure you, you've come to the right council, because I know several councillors want to speak, and on the agenda this evening is your next our next delegation is from Carl Doucette, who chairs the Ferguson Forest Corporation, and we're very proud in North Grenville to recently learn that we are only second to Ireland among ISO certified communities in terms of its access, to public recreational lands, which include a lot of forested lands. So thrilled to be here. I know Councillor Strachan would like to advise yourself and others about our sustainability fair, and I believe Councillor Sullivan would like to talk about the tree planting relay. So we'll get started and see where we go. Councillor Strachan.
Thank you very much, Ms. Forster. Yes, you've come to the right council. We've been very active. We've done quite a bit in this community, I think, to try and promote more environmentally friendly practices and so on. And there's a long list that I won't bore you with, but specific to the Earth Day celebration, our sustainability fair after a 2-year hiatus is coming back. And it is has a very large EV show that is core
nice.
to it. So it actually takes over a good chunk of the arena in our municipal center. And it's dealerships, private owners, and there's test drives and all sorts of things. So it's a really good opportunity for individuals who are interested in finding out more to talk to real owners and people who have some ground truth, so to speak. So I know with the price of gas, it's come up in a few different ways right now where people are saying, maybe we should think about this a little bit more. So we've been trying to promote that. But so day after Earth Day, and a key part to that sustainability fair is also encouraging younger folks and kids to participate. So there's, a kids zone that's going to focus on things. This year, it happens to be focused on bees and what role bees play in our community and in our environment and so on. And a myriad of other folks are going to be there. There's going to be workshops and so on. On a lot of different topics, sustainability and food in our communities and so on. So I think we're going to line up. I think we've checked almost everything off the list as far as that goes when it comes to Earth Day celebrations. So I just wanted to pass that along that we're all in, and a lot of these things, I think we're going to get a lot of community participation as well. So thank you very much for highlighting all this evening.
That's great. Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan, anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Catherine, for the presentation. I've one comment and one question is, does Earth Hour is there any connection between Earth Hour and Earth Day?
So Earth Hour is actually run by the World Wildlife Fund, WWF. So yeah, it's two completely separate organizations.
Okay, because I always participate in the Earth Hour, and
it's great. Yeah, it's coming
great.
up, isn't it? It's March, I think.
Yeah, March 31st.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's great. And so my other comment is the tree planting relay program. I really would like to see our municipality be very involved in that. There's a lot of distress from people, including myself, about trees being clear cut, and just actually like within a quarter of a kilometer from where I live, there's been a massive amount of clear cutting just happened this week. And so I know there's a lot of distress among people, like even neighbors who are actually in Texas are emailing me to say, what's going on? I heard all these trees are cut down. So it is a distressing thing for myself and for this whole council and a lot of people in the municipality. And I realize that sometimes they have to be cut down. So I really want us to see how we can replant, even if it's different location, but replace the trees that have to be taken out, and replace them with nature or native trees for the area and good trees. So I would like to see us participate in the Earth Day. And when the Ferguson Forest folks come to talk to us a few minutes from now, maybe they'll have something to offer for us. So anyway, if there's more information about sources of trees, seedlings, whatever, that would be great if you could send those things along to us.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I'll do that.
Super. Thanks very much. Great.
Thank you.
Any last comments, colleagues, before we move on? All right, I have a motion. Perhaps Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Strachan, you'd like to move in second, given that you've spoken to it, and that is that the Municipality of North Grenville declare April 22nd, 2022 Earth Day. Lots of twos in there. So I'll look for any final comments from other colleagues. No, okay. I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Good. I can tell you, Ms. Forster, that we have certainly been celebrating Earth Day, and many of our residents have been celebrating Earth Day for quite a long time. But we're glad to be part of the official movement, and I appreciate your efforts to protect the trademark and to work alongside with municipalities. I appreciate that you see that drivers municipalities are the drivers of ecological change. We see it really up close every day, and I think we appreciate being recognized. And if only we were sufficiently resourced by all levels of government to really facilitate some of that change, we get there a little bit faster. But thank you for your efforts and your attention.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, take care. We'll be in touch.
Sure.
I don't think there's any better segue, Mr. Doucette, than the one you just got for Earth Day. So over to you for, I think, a discussion about how we recognize International Day of the Forest, and I just, for council's benefit, want to say that in our ISO certification process, because North Grenville is in fact doing quite well in terms of access to public forests and recreational lands. There was a quick discussion about how we could work with FFC and potentially the Kentville Agroforestry Center to actually really shine the light on the incredible forest we have all around us in North Grenville. And I know, Mr. Doucette, thank you for picking up that ball and running with it. So welcome.
Yes, there's a bit of a theme at this
Yeah.
council meeting, isn't there, Madam Mayor?
There is.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. International Day of Forest. United Nations International Days are occasions to educate public on issues of concern, to mobilize political will and resources to address global problems, and to celebrate and reinforce achievements of humanity. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed 21st of March the International Day of Forest in 2012 to celebrate and raise awareness of the importance of all types of forests. You know, trees are often seen as purely functional or ornamental objects. They decorate city streets. They give us shady spots for resting and relief from the sun. They provide us with paper, fuel, fruit, nuts, and these benefits are obvious. However, some of their benefits are invisible to the naked eye. Forests are quietly working in the background, secretly cleaning our water, filtering our air, and protecting us from climate change. They provide food, medicine, fuel for more than 1 billion people who might not have access to these resources from anywhere else. They house more than 3/4 of the world's terrestrial biodiversity and are homes to many of the world's poorest people. Forests are our quiet helpers. They've been quietly playing a bigger role in our day-to-day lives than we ever realized. Currently, the Ferguson Tree Nursery produces over 1.7 million seedlings a year, and we will be soon increasing that to 2 million. Knowing the importance of forests, this is also an appropriate time to recognize a partnership with Canada's Forest Trust Corporation, a leading and innovative environmental, social, and governance company that leverages natural solutions to track climate change. CFT has secured several key partners in its bid to build thousands of forests in Canada to move our country closer to net zero carbon emissions. The Ferguson Tree Nursery, in addition to providing seedlings to CFT, will also serve as a center of excellence for CFT's initiatives. The center has subleased 12 acres of land to CFT for planting of a model smart forest. In conjunction with CFT, we are establishing a future forester program, which will shine a bright spotlight on post-secondary studies in the field of forestry and the wide diversity of rewarding job opportunities in the forestry profession. So I think it's incumbent on us all to recognize the importance of forests and our need to grow more forests. And therefore, I ask on behalf of the Ferguson Forest Center Corporation that Council proclaim 21st of March as the International Day of Forests in North Grenville. Thank you for your time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. I think it's my wish that every child in North Grenville could spend part of March 21st in a forest in our community, because there's no doubt there is an abundance of forests, and we appreciate Ferguson Forest Corporation's tremendous commitment across decades to certainly protect and grow the assets that are the Ferguson Forest Corporation and the nursery in particular. I'll recognize Councillor Sullivan and anyone else who wishes to speak. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you. Excuse me, through you, Madam Mayor, to Mr. Doucette. I wonder if there's any opportunity for any tours of the greenhouses for students between now and the end of June. I don't know how much is actually happening in the greenhouses at this stage, but
yeah, well, there's always opportunity. There's nothing happening right now. We don't start our planning cycle till May, June, and that's a very, very busy time. I think it'd be more appropriate to have tours in the midsummer or late summer, once the seedlings have grown and things have stabilized. But May and June is a extremely busy time.
Yeah. What about September? There's still a lot of stock in there in September?
Well, we start, yes, yeah. Late summer would be the best.
Yeah, I was just thinking if they came as a class group a field trip or something.
Yeah, we
Anyway.
could make that part of the declaration, and we may even say something in our declaration about that. Are you going to read the declaration, Madam Mayor?
I
Or
can't, certainly, or unless you would like to do so, Mr. Doucette.
And
I
and I
can't,
just
but-
want to say I'm prepared to move that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan.
I think the declaration should be read, although I'm stating this, the last paragraph would be something you would say. However, I'm willing to say it.
I'm actually happy to read it all if you'd like,
Okay,
so
do
that
you have
council
it?
has that
Do you-
benefit. Yeah.
It was kind of intended that you read it.
Sure, let's do it. So
Okay.
whereas the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the 21st of March as International Day of the Forest in 2012, whereas the day celebrates and raises awareness of the importance of all types of forests, whereas on each International Day of Forests, countries are encouraged to undertake local, national, and international efforts to organize activities involving forests and trees, such as tree planting campaigns, whereas the Ferguson Forest Corporation is a not-for-profit social enterprise serving to promote the awareness of and interest in forestry and sustainable forest management, while maintaining, enhancing, and promoting the responsible use and stewardship of the recreational and conservation lands managed by the corporation for the benefit of the residents of the municipality and North Grenville surrounding area, whereas the Ferguson Forest Center Corporation maintains walking and hiking trails throughout FFC, whereas the Ferguson Forest Center Corporation provides policy and direction to the Ferguson Tree Nursery that produces seedlings for afforestation. Therefore, the Ferguson Forest Center Corporation, in support of International Day of the Forest, will continue to provide policy and direction to the not-for-profit Ferguson Tree Nursery and invest in afforestation, including the purchase and installation of 2 new greenhouses in 2020 to generate 250,000. Is it additional seedlings,
Yes.
Mr. Doucette? Additional, right? On top of the million plus, is that right?
Yes.
Good. Invite the community to spend recreational and contemplative time on our forest trails and our woods to think about the value that forests provide to us and the planet, as well as, where possible, invite people to tour the nurseries, particularly students, and encourage residents to plant a tree in the spring. Be it resolved that the municipality of North Grenville does hereby proclaim Monday, March 21st, 2022 as International Day of the Forest. Colleagues, any other comments or questions? Mr. Doucette, does that do the trick?
That did the trick. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
All right.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Barkley. I know this year we've already flagged for our communications team that we'd love to spread the news. Of course, it's coming fast and furious for March 21st this year, but I invite council to think about how we can create a legacy event, an annual event in our municipality, really highlighting the value, the function, and the joy of trees and the incredible forests all around us. I'll recognize Councillor Strachan before calling the vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Mr. Doucette. I just wanted to echo what you were saying, Madam Mayor, about finding a way to emphasize and recognize the importance of forests in our community. Ferguson Forest certainly a huge part, Limerick as well.
Yes.
And I know that the mayor and I both have kids, as well as Councillor Sutherland's grandkids are also on the campus, and the benefit of being close to the forest and having access to it for their outdoor activities has been significant. I know that it's been a game changer for my kids to be able to have access to do that and enjoy the outdoors in a real natural setting, and not just a playground and so on. And so I think the importance is not lost upon us. So I thank you for raising this tonight, Mr. Doucette.
Yeah, and you were right to highlight that we are flanked by 2 very, very large forests, and right in the middle of our town is the Kempville Campus Agroforestry Center. So an abundance of trees, no doubt. So we'll be working with our communications team to really spread the word this year and hope to build on it in future years. And I will call the vote. All in favor? Good. Thank you, council colleagues. Mr. Doucette, while you're here, Mr. Dyke advised that perhaps a good use of your time would be for us to call up the report that deals with some adjustments to the FFC agreement, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Mr. Dyke was going to speak to that. Is that correct, Mr. Dyke?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay.
Thank you. As we just heard, the Ferguson Forest Center is a key component of our community, and which of the nursery itself sits on land which is leased from the municipality back to the Ferguson Forest Center. Their current lease runs for 15 years, ending in 2034 with a option to extend. There's currently a base rent built into the lease of $50,000 a year, whereby the municipality takes the lease payment and holds it in a dedicated reserve fund for use from the Ferguson Forest Center for maintenance, capital operations within the forestry itself. Over the last few weeks, Mr. Doucette and his colleagues and I have had conversations around an opportunity to make more efficient use of that monies. And I'm proud to bring a report together today that recommends that we restructure the current lease agreement with the Ferguson Forest Center board, whereby we reduce the base lease from $50,000 a year to $1 a year. That will allow the board to maintain the $50,000 within their maintenance and control for their operations. And further, Your Worship, we would collapse the existing reserve fund for the Ferguson Forest Center, transfer that $150,000 back to the Ferguson Forest Center board for their use, and then any other direct any monies from that back to the Ferguson Forest Center. And for council's information, based on our conversations with the board members, that the board plans to maintain and uses funds as always with respect to maintenance and improvements and initiate new projects on the Ferguson Forest Center itself. And I think it's important to note from an operational standpoint, the transfer of the lease to $1 plus the collapsing of the existing reserve fund has no impact on our operations of the municipality, nor on our budgeting process as well.
Thank you. Councillor O'Sullivan, of course, you sit on the FFC board, so I'm confident or assume that you're happy to see things evolve in this way. Mr. Doucette, you made reference to a new partnership, and perhaps this might be a moment to just further highlight the partnership that you are advancing with a national forest organization.
Yeah, there's a couple of opportunities on the horizon for us, which will see us need to invest money into infrastructure. One of them is the 2 billion tree program, which is a federal program, which will see 2 billion trees, I'm sorry, planted in Canada over the next 10 years, which is huge and could be huge for the Ferguson Forest Center Corporation and the nursery. However, significant infrastructure is going to have to be put in place for that. We also have an extension of the 50 million tree program, which is an Ontario-run program, which extends to 2024. And then we also have this opportunity with Canada's Forest Trust Corporation, and basically, they're planting trees throughout Canada, not only trees but forests. And it will serve you well to go to their website and look at what they're doing. It is really, it's amazing what they're proposing and what's going to do for Canada, what's going to do for our climate. But once again, that program is going to require additional infrastructure, and it's going to require growth on our part. Right now, we grow 1.7 million seedlings. We're going to 2 million with the new greenhouses that this money that we're getting back from the municipality will support. But we need upwards of 10 million seedlings a year to meet these potential opportunities that are coming down the line. It's going to be great for the nursery. It's going to be great for employment in North Grenville, and it's going to be great for the municipality. There's lots of things to brag about, going down this road. Having that center of excellence is going to be quite rewarding for everybody. There's so many good things happening in Kentville, and we at the nursery and the corporation want to be part of that, and I think we can.
Excellent. Thank you for that additional context. Any other comments or questions, colleagues, in regards to the effort?
I just want to give a little bit of history on this lease. The money that was given back to the municipality year after year was initially to pay the cost of buying the land from the Ontario government. But that money was paid back, in 2012, I think. So for the last 10 years, there really was no reason, or the reason for giving that money had been met. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the reason why that lease money was given in the first place.
Excellent. We appreciate that. Thank you. It's certainly from my perspective, given previous discussions we've had, it seems very sensible at this stage of the game to allow Ferguson Forest Corporation to do everything it can to leverage what is a tremendous asset. So I'm pleased to see this come forward. I think the $1 a year lease is far more appropriate given the value add and your growth strategy in the face of some challenges in recent years. So from my perspective, it's a great evolution of the partnership between the municipality and FFC. Councillor Barkley?
Yeah, I'd just like to follow up on Carl's history of that rent. And it was this council that approved the creation of a reserve fund 3 years ago, and that's why the total amount coming back to the Ferguson Forest Centre is $150,000, because their rent was $50,000 a year. So I do appreciate the work of the finance department, led by Gary and Femi, to streamline it even further. There was no need to hold that money that was dedicated to capital costs of the Ferguson Forest Centre. It makes a lot of sense to have it remain in their hands, since it is their money. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else, colleagues, before we move forward? Let's see anything. Okay. The recommendation brought for council this evening is that council authorize the amendment of the existing lease agreement between the Corporation of the Municipality of North Grenville and the Ferguson Forest Centre Corporation in accordance with the terms in this report. Authorize the CAO to sign the amended lease agreement and direct the Director of Finance to release the funds held in the FFCC Reserve Fund to the Ferguson Forest Centre Corporation, totaling $150,000 plus any additional payments made in 2022. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Barkley, Councillor Strachian. Good. Any other discussion on this report? Seeing none. Mr. Dyke, thank you. I know you've been involved in recent weeks in regards to this. Councillor Sullivan, thank you for your service on the FFC board. We look forward to working with you, Mr. Doucette, as things evolve, and I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Good, thanks. Any abstentions? Councillor Wilson is abstaining. Thank you. Any opposition? Nope. Okay. That motion carries. With that, Mr. Doucette, I think we've dealt with your portion of the report. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank Mr. Dyke for his work on this file. I want to thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. This is a big step forward for the nursery, and I do appreciate the support that we receive from the council. Thank you.
For sure. Thanks. Good luck. All right, colleagues, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. You'll see here this evening that the recommendations for the consent agenda are the updated health and safety policy statements, the violence and harassment policy updates, the annual Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Acts, the annual wastewater performance report, and various committee meeting minutes and resolutions. They are before you this evening, as well as the Old Town Kempville BIA minutes and resolutions. If any person wants to pull a report from the consent agenda, please let me know now. Seeing none, I'll look for a mover and a seconder for the adoption of the consent agenda as presented. Councillor Barkley. Councillor Wilson. I just have a quick question for Ms. Dunlop in regards to the annual wastewater performance report. I know she's on the call. I guess if I have a question, I have to pull the report. Is that correct, Mr. Dyke? Yes. Okay. So Council, I would like to pull the wastewater report then, if you don't mind, if that's amenable to mover and seconder. Okay. And we will deal with that report when it comes up on the agenda. So I'll call the question on the consent agenda, save and accept the wastewater report. All in favor? Good, thank you. It passes. So with that, we're moving down the list of items. Next is the MOU, the long-awaited MOU in regards to the lease and service delivery agreement with Kempville Campus. And Mr. Dyke, are you presenting that this evening?
Not so much presenting, your worship, but just a brief introduction. As council will remember, a number of months, over a year ago now, we embarked on the development of the new governance structure for the operation of the campus. And with that came the new board that we currently have now, and a new ED with Ms. Sutherland, who's with us tonight. And the MOU and the lease agreement currently before council for consideration. There's been a lot of effort put on both sides going through and kind of codifying or formalizing the relationship and the operational relationship between the municipality and the board. I think it's important to note it does follow the tenets of the governance review that was put forward that was approved by both council and the former board. But it also allows the campus board to function in an independent fashion from the municipality for the full growth of the court, but also providing enough structure for the municipality to feel comfortable in the true interest of the municipality being represented through the operations of the board. So I think that's important context for that. And I'll turn it back to you, your worship, to entertain any comments from Ms. Sutherland or Ms. Cooper.
Excellent. And I do want to recognize, I now see Ms. Karen Cooper at the bottom of my screen. She's, of course, chair of the board and has jumped in with both feet and has done a lot of heavy lifting over the last year since her appointment to support the recruitment of other board members and, of course, the recruitment of Ms. Liz Sutherland, who joins us this evening. Liz is the newly minted executive director of Kempville Campus, and I know is working with great enthusiasm to advance the goals of Kempville Campus. So you're both here this evening. Ms. Sutherland, Ms. Cooper, were you planning to say anything in regards to the MOU?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to acknowledge the hard work that's gone into getting us to this point in the partnership between the municipality and the campus. Your staff team has done wonderful work. Our board is amazing, and we're really looking forward to working with you on moving things to the next step of the partnership. So thank you very much for presenting this, and we're in full support.
Ms. Cooper?
I just agree wholeheartedly with what Liz has said, and thank you for your leadership of the board before I became chair. We were well placed to move on to the next steps, and we're eager to keep trying to achieve the objectives of that master plan, which was just an excellent piece of thinking and planning for our path forward.
Excellent. I know yesterday and tomorrow some good news is coming to the campus. So an auspicious evening this evening. Tomorrow we'll be celebrating the official announcement, which happened a day ago, but will happen again tomorrow locally in our own community for a RED grant on agricultural youth initiatives that's being led, lead partner being the French Catholic Board, but with the support of the other three boards. So very exciting to see that the province as well is recognizing the merits of what is an incredible facility. Minister Clark and I last night were talking about how few people, even in our own community, understand that it's 626 acres that we're managing, and we have 4 fabulous school board partners, as well as many others, and look forward to welcoming the IPM this fall, International Plowing Match. So lots of activity. The ground is so fertile for the evolution of the campus, and we're just really thrilled to see things moving along. I know the MOU had many discussions between the campus and senior staff here at the municipality. I'm thrilled to see that it's landed in a good place, and that you're ready to move forward. So, Council, any questions for Ms. Cooper, Ms. Sutherland, or Mr. Dyke in regards to the MOU before we move the motion? Council Barkley?
Yeah, I note in the report from staff that costs currently borne by the municipality will become the responsibility of the campus, but that's exclusive of our snow removal, and that we'll be reserving from the leased campus lands in compensation in kind. So when we talk about campus lands, does that include the buildings on the campus.
Mr. Dyke, would you like to answer that, or is that Ms. Cooper?
I would, I'll turn it over to Ms. Babcock Cornet on that part, and then obviously over to Ms. Cooper and Ms. Sutherland.
Okay. Ms. Babcock Cormier?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Your Worship. That's with respect to the cost with respect to winter maintenance activities that the municipality is performing, which had previously been performed by contractors on behalf of the campus. In return for the performance of those winter maintenance activities, there are certain premises which are going to continue to be used by the municipality.
So in other words, besides the lands, it's the facilities, some of the buildings we'll be reserving for our use.
And in fact,
compensation. Yep, sorry.
And in fact, it is the buildings. There's a garage where equipment is being stored. There's a unit or two in the Bell Hall building. So there's various facilities on campus that when you look at what our fair market lease rate would be, it's being offset by the services being provided.
And how is that tracked? How do we provide oversight over that $106,000 per year? Is that how do we know what we draw against that?
If I might, Your Worship, the actual construct around the things that winter maintenance is a separate service level agreement that goes with the MOU. The MOU is kind of the parent document, and out of the MOU come certain service level agreements. One is winter maintenance and also summer maintenance on the campus lands as well. And hopefully, possibly going forward, there could be other agreements between the municipality and the campus. So that's all structured to the agreement itself.
So will there be some accounting on an annual basis of?
Yes, there will be.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mr. Agrande, would you like to add anything?
Yes, Your Worship. I was just going to add that on the municipalities side of things, we've set up a structure whereby we track every cost that is attributable to work done on the campus through the department. So through the Parks and Recreation Department and the Public Works Department. And also on the campus side, I've had discussions with the treasurer of the campus to ensure that every benefit that the municipality is receiving from the campus is tracked on their end. And on a quarterly basis, we'll meet to reconcile and ensure that all the costs are captured appropriately.
That's excellent news. Thank you very much, Mr. Agrande. Any other questions, colleagues? I know that we have a snow clearing arrangement, of course, which is emphasized in the agreement, whereby the municipality is performing those services at a stated value, and there's some return service being provided to the municipality. So that's nice to see. And I know as past chair, we've struggled with some of those costs. So the efficiencies that I think are created here are excellent. And it's good to see that partnership. Councillor Barkley?
Yeah, just to follow up, thank you, Mr. Alcorande. So I understand it'll be reconciled on a quarterly basis, but my question was, will council get some sort of report on an annual basis?
Yes, through Your Worship, to
Yes.
Councillor Barkley. So all of this information will be part of the quarterly reporting that the municipality will be bringing forward to council. And as part of that report, we'll have a section on that speaks specifically to campus expenses.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Not seeing any. Okay. So I'll just refer quickly. The recommendation before us this evening, colleagues, is that council authorize the mayor and CEO to execute the MOU to govern the relationship between the municipality and the Kempel Campus Education Community Center concerning governance, administration, fiscal responsibility, maintenance, and operation of the Kempel campus. Also authorize the CEO to execute a lease of the Kempel Campus Education Community Center, and authorize the CEO to execute the service delivery agreement for winter maintenance of the campus. And certainly to Mr. Dyke's point, that's not embedded in the agreement itself. It is a separate agreement, but certainly of collective benefit, I think, to both parties. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Barkley, Councillor Strachan, thank you. So the motion is on the floor. Any remaining comments or concerns? So I just want to emphasize that I know there's a 3-year renewal window, and I think that's an appropriate time period, given that I think both parties are still learning. There may be some necessary adjustments that may come to our attention before that 3 years or at that 3-year mark. So I think that's a good timeline. I feel that the MOU really reflects the spirit in which the municipality in 2018, prior to this council's election, of course, acquired the campus, and that everybody has worked very, very hard to ensure that ultimately the campus as an entity generates its own benefits, both monetary and otherwise. And I think this MOU gets us one step closer to that. So I'll call the vote in the absence of other questions or comments. All in favor, please. Good. Thank you. That carries. I know, Ms. Cooper, you've been waiting for a while, so we'll let you leave this evening with an MOU fully in hand, and I think we'll be seeing you at a meeting of international plowing match folks in the next week or so. And tomorrow, of course, we'll see you at the announcement. I think most of council will be there, so we look forward to celebrating that milestone as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you both.
Madam Mayor, thank you, council. Good night.
Take care. Okay. Okay, colleagues, appreciate that. We'll now move on. I believe, Mr. Ogurende, are you taking us through the council compensation report?
Yes, I am, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So tonight I'm bringing forward a report on behalf of the Council Compensation Committee that was set up to review the Gallagher report that I'll be referring to as we go along in this presentation. So just to give some background to where we're coming from or how we got to where we're at. In 2019, the municipality engaged Gallagher Benefit Services to review various positions within the municipality with the aim of ensuring that the remunerations that were set for these positions were at an appropriate level. So what the report did was to consider similar sized municipalities in the area, comparing them with the current compensation structure that the municipality had at the time, and then ensuring that they were in line with the median across a number of municipalities. It's also important to note that council compensation has not been increased since 2005, but year over year, it has been adjusted for cost of living. And as part of the Gallagher report, there was a recommendation in the report that supported an adjustment to be made to council compensation going into the year 2020. Next slide, please. So as a result, the Council Compensation Committee was set up, and the main term of reference for the committee was to consider the recommendations in the Gallagher report and present an independent report to council for consideration. The committee held 3 separate meetings over the months of December 2021 and January of 2022. And as per the committee report, it recommended adopting the base figure in the Gallagher report for the next term of council. Also, the committee recommended that those base figures be adjusted for inflation over the last 2 years, for 2021 and 2022, and that the inflation rate be indexed to the rate adopted by OMERS, which is the pension scheme the municipality is currently under. Next slide, please. So just to put all of that into context, I did a quick analysis of what the Gallagher report recommended as of 2020 for a total compensation to council at $125,712. The OMERS rate in 2020, inflation rate in 2021 was 0.94%. So including that rate on the 2020 base figure gives a compensation of $126,894. The OMERS rate for 2022 was pegged at 2.74%, So indexing that inflation rate on the 2021 base figure gives a council compensation for 2022 at 130,371. So as part of the recently passed 2022 budget, we identified the cost of living adjustment that was approved by council at 1% on the 2021 council compensation, thereby arriving at the 2022 budget number shown in this slide at 115,765. And as part of council's compensation, the municipality also pays for CPP, EI, and the employer's portion of OMAs. So putting all those employer paid benefits together, estimated at roughly about between 23,500 and 24,300. So in the 2022 budget, we have a total council compensation of 139,360, but based on the recommendations of the committee in their report, we have a total cost for council compensation being brought forward at 154,750. And because this recommendation will take effect in the next term of council, we've estimated that the full budget variance between what's currently in the 2022 budget and what's being recommended by the committee is 15,390. And just applying a three-month prorated variance on that gives us a figure of 3,848. That will be an additional expense on what we already have in the budget. Also, part of the recommendations of the committee was that council will be given the option to be signed up for the extended healthcare benefits that municipal staff currently partake in. And based on the current rates we have, the single term coverage for staff, and which would also apply to council, is at $450 a month. And the family coverage is averagely around $750 a month. So including all of that, if council chooses to adopt that recommendation to include the option of the extended healthcare benefits, we'll have a prorated variance for 2022 at $4,785. And then the full effect of the recommended council compensation with the inflation for 2023 will then be brought forward as part of the 2023 budget process. So this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are.
Thank you, Mr. Ogunrande. Of course, I think for context, council would like to emphasize that this work was undertaken by a committee that was initially overseen by Mr. Dyke, and council had no direct involvement in any of the analysis discussion. We were quite removed from the considerations that are before us this evening. Of course, we are not directly implicated because the proposal this evening is for future councils, not the council currently in question. And Mr. Dyke, I don't know if you want to add anything in terms of any notions of conflict.
No, Your Worship, other than what you just said, this anything approved today does not take effect for this term of council. It is just a subsequent term.
So it certainly doesn't implicate this configuration of council directly. So I'll go to Councillor Barkley for any questions on the report. And I don't see that members of the committee were named, but again, these were residents in our community, Mr. Dyke, that were ultimately selected by you, and they met periodically over the last 2 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Worship.
Okay. Councillor Barkley, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Dyke. So what we're being asked to approve tonight is strictly the prorated amount for the remainder of this calendar year that only applies to the next council. Is that correct? The $4,000 or $5,000?
Through Your Worship, no, you're actually being to approve the compensation package. So it would take yes, it would take into the prorated piece for the balance of 22, which goes on to the budget variance that Mr. Ogunrande mentioned, but you're also approving the compensation package for the next term of council.
So it's both.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Just a comment while I've got the floor.
Yes.
Is that I read the report, and I do appreciate staff's recognition of the fact that there was a reduction in the net compensation due to the elimination of the tax-free portion of the honorariums that were afforded to council in January of 2019. In other words, there was, previous to January 2019, there was a tax-free portion of council's compensation, and that was removed in January, which resulted in a net decrease in the take-home pay. So I do appreciate staff and the committee, I guess, in particular, for catching that and acknowledging that. Thank you.
I'll go to Councillor Strachan, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through to Mr. Dyke, I believe. So just noting where the salaries are for this year, there was 1 for mayor and then 4 effectively for councillor, irrespective of the position of deputy mayor. I don't believe that deputy mayor is an official position that we have on council. I know that is one that it is given the title and some duties that I guess go along with that. Will this require or necessitate council to make that an official position in order to have a separate salary for deputy mayor position?
Not an official one. No, the same model would apply.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and through you to Mr. Dyke. I guess it would be Mr. Dyke or Mr. Ogarandi. So when it talks about benefits and extended healthcare benefits at family rates or not at family rates, as a part-time employee right now, I don't get benefits at my other job, but I get a percentage in lieu of benefits unless I chose to take the benefit package. So would that apply here, that anyone who chose not to take the benefits would get a percentage in lieu?
Through your worship to Councillor Sullivan, the recommendation of the committee was not quite was quite silent on whether there would be a payment in lieu. I believe the recommendation just specified the fact that it was an option that was available to council, but not as to what would happen if a councillor decided to decline that opportunity.
Is that something that could be addressed by the next council coming in then? Or maybe Mr. Dyke has a response to that?
I guess two answers, I guess. So it's been my experience in the past that the in lieu option, I hadn't seen that in a compensation package for municipal council before. But if that was something council wanted to explore further, given the nature of how this was put forward, where you're not having a current council approve a benefit to themselves, I would recommend that this council deal with it either tonight or at direction of staff, that we bring back something that we can add on to this decision at a future date during this term of council, without asking a future council to pass something for themselves.
True, absolutely true. Well, then I think that should be something that I would like to see explored, that council who chooses not to partake of the benefits packages, that they would receive a percentage in lieu of those benefits. And that evens the playing ground for everybody.
I would say that could be also inclusive of the pension benefit, right? Which may or may not be of significant value to an individual, sort of depending on how they see their time as a municipal elected official. As we know, in our municipality, many former elected officials had pensions. I've never quite understood the rationale to pay into the pension plan, though I recognize perhaps there is value, but I do think it should be an optional, not mandatory benefit. We are all currently paying for pension benefits that may be of little to no value in the end, depending on the terms, the length of the terms we serve. So I would suggest, Councillor Sullivan, that also be treated as a benefit one could opt into, or pursue compensation in lieu of.
I think that would be fair.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Dyke, what do we need to do to proceed with that? Do we?
Through your worship, I'd respectfully recommend that council go ahead and approve the compensation package as presented tonight with direction of staff to bring back a potential amendment to the package directly related to the benefits portion thereof.
Okay.
Thank you. So I might have missed it. The prorated variance for 2022, I apologize, Mr. Ogurande. I'm hearing that there is some direct implication on this council by virtue of a policy change, or do I have that? Am I mistaken about that?
Actually, Your Worship, there wouldn't be a direct implication on this current council,
right?
Because the next council will be taking the oath
Yes.
of office in late 2022.
That's
so
right.
It's from that period that it would begin to
okay.
take effect.
So we truly are talking about the future council.
That's
the
correct.
Accommodations for 2022 pertain to North Grenville's next council, not this current one, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Now I better understand. Councillor Wilson, did you have a question? Did I see your hand? No. Okay. Any other comments on the report as presented? Okay. I appreciate this. Then I will look for a mover and a seconder for the following. That council approve the following recommendations of the Council Compensation Review Committee from the report commissioned by the municipality titled Municipality of NG Council Remuneration Review dated October 29th, 2019 to adopt the 2020 base figures for targeted annual compensation indicated in the table on page 7. The figures are before you, council colleagues. Correct the base figures indicated by Gallagher for 2 years of inflation to account for the time lapse since 2019. Adjust the base compensation annually going forward to correct for future inflation in accordance with the rate of inflation as determined by OMERS, and provide council the option to enroll in benefits coverage to municipal employee health, dental, life insurance, and I'd like to add pension so as to align with the practice of the comparative majority, but also I think we should say in this motion, consider an alternative to opt out. And Ms. Babcock-Cormier or Mr. Ogurande, you can bring that back in terms of the precise details. Direct the clerk to prepare a bylaw to give effect to the resolution set under the recommendation. Direct the CEO to develop terms of reference for a further committee to be constituted to consider how to address additional concerns with council compensation identified by the current council compensation review in its report of December 14th, 2021. And to that end, perhaps someone can speak to what those that December 14th, 2021 report highlighted. Can someone speak to that?
Mr. or Ms. Babcock-Cormier?
I can, Your Worship, if you'd like,
Yes,
Director
please.
Ogurande.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with respect to the committee, they were wished a further committee potentially to consider concerns with respect to council compensation in terms of the number of electors within the municipality and the number of councillors in terms of workload and how that reflects with respect to council compensation. And additionally, any access issues with respect to access to services with respect to population size versus the number of councillors. So it was to investigate the larger issue of council compensation.
Okay. In regards to the number of councillors potentially serving the municipality specifically?
Potentially.
Okay. Okay. Certainly it's been a discussion that council and I think residents of our community have asked. We are among the smaller councils in Eastern Ontario. Almost every other municipality at the United Counties has a larger council than we do. We are very, very small given our high growth and our size. So I can see merits in thinking strategically and for the long term in regards to that particular piece. I think we all recognize as councillors that we have a heavy workloads and work hard on behalf of residents. So that certainly would be a question for another day. Councillor Barkley?
Yeah, I'd just like to to you, Madam Mayor, just to add, besides the size of the council relative to the population, it's also a consideration is the size of the budget that we have to manage and oversee compared to other municipalities. Thanks.
Yeah, that is very true. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to need a mover and a seconder for the motion. Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Barkley. Thank you. I have read the crux of the motion. So sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, did you make an amendment about opting out? Or do we just go with what Mr. Dyke had said in his wording? Or do we say, and if you choose to opt out, that there would be investigations of appropriate in lieu of benefits? Yep.
I did insert some language about an opt-out clause, and I think, Mr. Dyke, you're going to add.
Okay.
Well, I think from a clarity standpoint, I think it's important from a clarity standpoint as we go forward that we not be that specific with the direction, as opposed to explore options available regarding benefit package. There may be restrictions on the ability to opt out of a package if it's put in place. So I don't want to create any false expectations of what's coming back. So if the direction is simply to explore options related to applicable benefit packages would be better, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Well, I will move with the appropriate language or amendment that we accept this package and investigate those potential changes.
Okay.
So
I think your intention is well understood. Mr. Dyke, does the motion require further modification? Oh, okay. Okay. Councillor Sullivan, I fully support you, certainly on both the benefits and the pension. I think we need to take a better look at what we're opting into and what we may be able to opt out of. So I think it's an important discussion to have. So, Mr. Dyke, what's your thinking around timing for a subsequent report?
We could probably have something back to council end April, beginning of May.
Okay, that's great. So I think we'd like to resolve this for a future council, obviously before the term is up. So we appreciate that timing. Okay, Councillor Sullivan, are you assured?
Yes.
Okay, I don't see any other hands. Council colleagues, for all future councils, please show your support or your lack thereof for the recommendation as presented. All in favor? Good. Okay, that motion carries. I would like to thank members of the committee, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Neil Harrington, Kathy Shepherd, and those are the only two I currently remember.
If I wait, it was Bruce Harrison was on a version of the committee, Kathy Shepherd and Neil White, I believe, was the. Oh, sorry, Deb Wilson. My mistake.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and Deb, you withdrew from the committee upon exploring the opportunity to present to council. Is that correct? Yep. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your work. We appreciate it. All right, we'll move on then. Next, of course, is the expropriation of lands. Council colleagues, we met in closed on this, and Ms. Bacquart-Cormier is seeking some direction to move forward.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. The municipality expropriated an easement providing drainage from the creek subdivision. The Expropriations Act requires the municipality to serve a formal offer of compensation to the owner of the lands. This is the purpose of this report. The owner can accept the offer in full settlement or can accept the offer and make a further claim for compensation. Ultimately, any claim for further compensation may be determined by the Ontario Land Tribunal. There is no financial impact to the municipality with respect to the service of this offer, as the expropriation is at the developer's cost. Accordingly, it is the recommendation of staff that council authorize the Director of Public Works or her designate to make offers of compensation to the owners of the lands in the municipality of North Grenville, which were acquired in accordance with the Expropriations Act.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I know we had some opportunity to discuss in closed. I think Ms. Babcock-Cormier is now looking that council authorize the Director of Public Works or her designate to make offers of compensation to the owners of the lands in the municipality of North Grenville, as set out in attachment 1, and in accordance with the Expropriations Act. Any comments or questions? Not seeing any. I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councilor O'Sullivan. Do I have a seconder? Did I miss someone there? Councilor Barkley, thank you. All right, I have a mover and a seconder. Any further comment on this recommendation? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Good. It passes. I would like to emphasize that I think this was a necessary development to ensure our responsibilities under stormwater, sewer management, among other things. So thank you for that. We'll move on to the annual municipal freedom of information and protection of privacy, or was that part of our consent agenda? I apologize.
That was a consent agenda item, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay, so nothing under planning and development this evening. Council colleagues may require a very long meeting last Wednesday on planning and development issues. So we'll go to the wastewater performance report under Ms. Dunlop before hearing about Pitching Canada.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this report covers the 2021 fiscal year for the operation of the wastewater treatment plant under the ECA number 96289Q4 LRN that is located at 2899 County Road 43 with an approximate served population of 5,500. Sorry, next slide, please. And next slide, please. The water pollution control plants are operated under the permission granted by their Environmental Compliance Approval, or ECA. An annual performance report is part of the ECA, which includes monitoring and flow data, plus operational issues, calibration of monitoring equipment, and major maintenance completed in 2021. The plant had 3,400 cubic meters of biosolids, land applied and incorporated on agricultural land for beneficial use. Next slide. 717,444 cubic meters of sewage was treated and discharged into the Rideau River. There were 2 samples that exceeded the weekly limits in accordance with our license. There were 12 days where the influent flow was over the average or peak flow of the plant and no bypasses in 2021. There was one planned methane spill with prior consent from the ministry with approval. A copy of the compliance report is attached to the council report and is made available to the public electronically through municipal website. Next slide, please. The water pollution control plant operated within the prescribed ECA parameters and all reporting requirements have been fulfilled. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunlop. Those 2 instances were certain, levels exceeded ministry standards. Are you able to elaborate?
There were 2 incidents, one in June and one in July, in regards to either a nitrogen or a phosphorus light overage, and one was deemed to be, the first one was the weekly samples. They met the parameters, save and except one, which created the exceedance. The probability was having the aeration tank and the primary tank offline for maintenance, providing inadequate retention time. Everything was reported to the ministry. The second one was a total phosphorus in September. The monthly averages were a 0.42, while the limit is a 0.3. The weekly samples were under the compliance limit with the exception of 1 week. The result was an anomaly, and they can find no other reason but a lab anomaly.
Okay. And the maintenance that took certain elements of the pollution control plant offline was planned? Was it a weather-related occurrence in terms of volume or those exceeded parameters?
It was a planned maintenance item. We do try to take a specific train offline at low flow time. So when we're not anticipating wet weather events, to do things such as cleaning and maintenance of the tanks, any air valves for the aeration, as well as any change in flights, the things that continue to move the sewage through the treatment train.
Okay, and will the upcoming expansion resolve that need to do that maintenance? Not necessarily, right, of the existing plant?
No, it will still be required, but what it'll provide is an additional treatment train. So each treatment train can be taken offline. We will still have 2 additional trains after the expansion. So we will still have to do regular maintenance.
Okay, thank you. That was the crux of my question.
Yeah.
Colleagues, so the report is before you, and we're being asked this evening to receive the report, the 2021 Annual Wastewater Performance Report, and receive the 2021 Annual Wastewater Performance Report, Kemptville Water Pollution Control Plant, for information prior to the report being submitted to the local ministry. I'll look for a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Barkley, I need a seconder. Councillor O'Sullivan, thank you. So the motion is on the floor. Any questions, concerns? Not seeing any. I'll call the question. All in favor, please. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dunlop, for your indulgence. Appreciate that. And now we'll go on to Pitch in Canada Week.
Next slide. Pitch in Canada is a national community-based program to raise awareness and encourage residents to show their civic pride by cleaning up public spaces. North Grenville has participated in Pitch in Canada since 2002. Designated bags are provided by Pitch in Canada and are free to all registered volunteers. April 17th to 24th is proclaimed as Pitch in Canada Week and encompasses Earth Day on April the 22nd. Next slide, please. The proclamation is to raise awareness and increase participation for the residents to show their civic pride by cleaning up public space within the municipality. Waste collected can be placed at curbside during regular garbage collection or can be taken to the Oxford Mills Waste Transfer Station free of charge unless there is a large quantity, and special arrangements can be coordinated through the Public Works Department for pickup. Please proclaim April 17th to 24th as Pitch in Canada Week in North Grenville. And that completes my report.
Thank you. Colleagues, I know Pitch in Week is well embraced in the municipality of North Grenville. There's often an urgent need. So we appreciate all those volunteers who painstakingly go out to help clean up our community, particularly important for our year of the International Plowing Match. And I'll recognize Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Director Dunlop. Are the bags available anytime now to be picked up? Our community association always does the rail trail and our neighborhood. And I know that the gentleman who coordinates it for Forest Creek neighborhood is always keen to get the bags as soon as he can. So whenever they're available, or are they available at this time?
Through you, Your Worship. The bags have not been received as of yet. We are anticipating delivery as of April the 1st. Okay. We do have a few left over from last year, but I recommend you wait till the snow's gone.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, we always do it during that week. He just likes to get organized.
Absolutely. And as I said, the delivery of bags will be available April 1st.
Okay, thank you. It's a great initiative.
I know, Ms. Dunlop, there have been some complaints about the road leading to the transfer station as being one where there tends to be a lot of debris on that road in particular, just because of things flying off various trucks, etc. Is there any particular effort to focus on that particular road during Pitch in Week?
Thank you, Your Worship, for the question. Actually, we try to encourage people that come in to the waste transfer station to follow the Highway Traffic Act and to make sure that their loads are secured. It has seen a decrease in the amount, the volume of debris along Crozier Road leading to the Oxford transfer station. We do have the crew that work at the transfer station go out on a fairly regular basis to try to pick up that debris. But we can make a special effort that week and get a crew out.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. I do wonder if there are some high needs roads, Bedell being another one. If you walk parts of Bedell, it's unfortunately very, very littered. And sometimes those are streets that are roads rather that people aren't taking ownership of. So if there are ways that we can deploy or encourage crews that may wish to go a little further from home. I know in past years, because of COVID, we were really encouraging people to stay in their neighborhoods and not get together in large groups. Obviously this year it's looking a bit different. So we would value any feedback that the community would give us, or you would have, Ms. Dunlop, given your perspective of where people can focus their energies.
Thank you, Your Worship. We do have approximately half a dozen or so roads that seem to be magnets, unfortunately, for a certain amount of waste. We have Rock Road, Bedell Road, sections of Boundary, as well as McGovern and various rural roads, as well as within the FFC. That's one that always, the Friends of the Ferguson Forest Center always have a very good cleanup and come up with a lot of debris.
Okay, good. So we'll make sure to spread the news, and I know you'll be working with our comms team on this. Okay, council colleagues, anything else on this one? I'm not seeing anything. So obviously the recommendation this evening is, that council received the presentation Pitch in Canada Week for information purposes and proclaim April 17th to 24th Pitch in Canada Week in the Municipality of North Grenville. Councillor Strachan, do you want to move that? Thank you. Seconder, please. Councillor Barkley, thank you. I will call the question unless there's further comment. Not seeing any. All in favor, please raise your hands. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, council, I know we've been meeting a long time, so I'm cognizant of that, and I haven't given you a break, but I think we're near the end. So I would, I'll carry on unless anyone wants a 2-minute break. Not seeing an appetite for that. So let's move forward. We have nothing under Parks, Rec and Culture this evening, nothing under EPS. We've adopted committee meeting minutes as well as Old Town Council BIA minutes and resolutions. So that brings us to the notice of motion. Council colleagues, you remember that Councillor Barkley brought to our attention a request for the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. And I believe we're ready to consider that this evening. Ms. Babcock-Cromie, I'm correct in that? All right.
Yes, Your Worship.
Do we not report out of closed? I see that on the agenda before.
Through you, Your Worship. Sorry,
yes.
Through you, Your Worship. We've actually just amended the agenda to include that as a subtitle for the times that we need to report out of closed. In this particular instance, there is no report out of closed required for today.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation is there as presented by Councillor Barkley, and that is that Council requests that the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville review the speed limit of County Road 20 between County Road 18 and McDonald Road. Consider reducing that speed limit from 80 to 60 kilometers per hour. As I think offered up last week, there has been a discussion between the residents in question and Mr. Guy, who is a senior manager with the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville Public Works Department. They have asked that council advance a motion to this effect. I've also spoken with Director Dunlop, and she sees rationale to have the counties review the speed limit in this area. So I'll need a mover and a seconder to put the motion on the floor. Councillor Barkley?
I believe I moved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Councillor Wilson. Okay. Any further any comment on this? I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to call the question then. All in favor, please. Good, thank you. That motion carries, and Ms. Dunlap, I know you're still with us. You'll make sure that that motion makes its way to counties, or Ms. Babcock-Cormier?
The clerk's office will, Your Worship.
Okay, great. And I know Ms. Dunlap knows that area well, so she may have relevant comments for Mr. Bai. Thank you. Introduction and consideration of bylaws. Ms. Babcock-Cormier, I think we're good for tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Worship.
Questions from members of our community or the media? Anyone with us this evening during spring break?
No, Your Worship, we don't have any members of the media or the public joining us this evening, and I confirm that we have not received any questions as of this afternoon.
Ms. Babcock-Cormier, just for our own edification, we expect to be back in council chambers for sometime in April. Is that correct?
May, Your Worship.
May.
CAO Dyke, I think, would like to speak.
Just for clarification, Worship, it's all tied to the renovations being done in the lobby. And so we picked the hard date of when we know we'll be back in for scheduling, particularly in planning meetings and that, so that we can get the schedule out in time.
Indeed. So we're looking at May 1, more or less?
The first meeting in May, whatever our first meeting in May.
Excellent. Okay, we look forward to that. Thank you. So that provides some rationale for why we're continuing to meet virtually. I know many other councils, including Counties Council, is keen to reconvene in person. So that, in fact, will begin as of April 1. Okay, with that, we are looking at close of the meeting, colleagues. Confirmation bylaw is that bylaw 2322 to confirm proceedings of council, its regular meeting held on March 16th, 2022 be adopted as passed. All in favor, mover and seconder, please. Councillor Wilson and Strachan, thank you. All in favor, raise your hands. Anyone, everyone is confident to confirm tonight's proceedings? I would hope so. And a motion to adjourn, colleagues, at 8:13. Motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Strachan, thank you. And that is a motion to adjourn at 8:13. Before I sign off, Councillor Sullivan, I know you have a special day tomorrow. So best wishes to you on an auspicious day. You are incredibly vital and active council member. You often put us to shame. So I want to wish you well on, I think, what is a significant day for you tomorrow. And of course, St. Patrick's Day. Thank you, Councillor Wilson, for wearing green. I have some green behind me in the flag and a mask for tomorrow. But Councillor Sullivan, I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to say.
Oh, thank you very much. And top of the morning to everyone tomorrow. So.
Top of the morning. Indeed. I know St. Patrick's Day will be well celebrated, as well as Councillor
Get your green on.
Very special day. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. I'll call the question on a motion to adjourn, please, at 8:14. All in favor? Good. Thank you, colleagues. We're back at it again next week. Take care.